Well, good morning. This is Hero again. Remember this right here? Remember this cut? It used to be a big bulge that came out like that. So today's episode, or the chapter, is about what happened to the piece that got cut off. So this is the mother base. It was in a big container, and then it had this big bulgy thing here, and I thought that by squeezing in here, it wasn't going to fit, so I proceeded to cut this. So anyway, that's what today's chapter is. What happened to the bulge? Well, this is the bulge that I took out. It's been in a fairly well protected area, nothing done. We probably won't do a whole lot. Might trim a few things to encourage certain areas to grow. But basically, I think this is a lesson in patience. Okay, here's the first piece. You can see the big cut though. Well, it was the bulge that cut into three. So, what are we going to do with this? I'm not even sure. So, let's get a little bit close look. And you could see that coming up, it was this big cut. So, it was the big bulge cut into three pieces. Now, it's not really attractive. I'm not even sure where we're going to go with this. But that's okay. I was happy that it survived. And we are also not going to touch this much because the roots have not been well established yet. What I'm going to do is these lower parts, I'm going to get them shorter. And the reason for it is I want something of an apex, but I'm not going to define it being this or this. I'm just going to encourage something on the top to grow by discouraging these to be competitive. So we're going to keep all these. I'm not cutting it down, but shorten it. Then you'll let these try to compete for the apex. Okay, so nothing defined yet. I'm just gonna let this go, and then now that it's fairly well established, I will feed it. Up to now, I did not feed it. Here is another one. I could have tried to shape this cut a little bit better, but I wanted it to be well established first. Right now, if I try to carve it, it will disturb the roots that's trying to recover. So that's probably a year, maybe even 2 years away to get around to trying to get this thing so that it looks a little more natural than saw marks. What can I say? It was just a very simple cut, and it's quite visible. But in terms of how we're going to proceed next, it's first it's the recovery. So this year, I'm just going to try to get this to recover, and then we'll start to plan what we're going to do next. Okay, same game plan. I'm going to cut these lower ones so that they don't compete to become an apex. That's what our plants tend to do. They all want to be the head leader, so they keep fighting for the sunlight, right? This one's a little bit better in that there is some indication of a apex. So, not disturb this part. keep these in check. I'll probably keep it in that fairly well protected area. And now I will start to feed. This one's not as bad because it's kind of at a slant, so the big wound is hidden fairly well. But like I said, it's going to be years before it becomes something. Okay, this is the third. Well, this one is really visible of the cut. Actually, we might be able to use that to our advantage in the future. But like I was saying, all these require a number of years just to recover fully and then get started on the actual styling process. I think I talked to you in the past about how do we go about styling. One is you have an image in your head of something that you want to create. So you start to look for the material and create that image. Or in this case, you are given material, and then what's the best artistic solution in terms of shaping this thing? Well, that question can be, another year to 2 years from now, maybe even longer, although this one looks pretty good. So I'm going to do the same thing with this, trim lightly the lower part and see if we could develop some sort of apex up on top. Okay, same old, just, well, you notice that when I cut these, we're leaving horizontal branches, right? So there'll be much more workable branches for the future. Right now, I just want this to fully recover and get root all around, and then we'll get started on actual shaping. So, yeah, we have to just take these in stages. So up here, I'm pretty sure this is going to be the apex area. I'm pretty sure one of these is going to be the apex area. And so I'm trying to decide, is this the better apex or this the better apex? I think this one here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this shorter, and hopefully this one will get some girth on it, and then it will become a true apex. Oh, we might be jumping the gun, but you know, this thing looks like it's hanging over the cliff, right? So what happens if I take this and then carve it so that it looks more of a natural rather than just a saw cut, and then put a branch out here, apex, and I'm going against my own advice in that, yes, it's a little early to start to make too many plans, but you could see that there's a potential for something like that, right? Now this side is rather large, but what if I did? Well, stay tuned, people. We will get to this probably next year or the year after. So what's going to happen with these? These going to be put back about where it was. It's kind of in a protected area, but plenty of sunlight, and I'm going to feed it. So up to now, this has not been fed, but now I know for sure it's going to be okay. So now I'm going to get it fed real well and then push as much growth on this as possible. So this has been update of the big bulge that we took off of the Seijuen elm. Okay, and this same technique applies to olives because they do the same thing. They get a big clump at the bottom, and quite often you can cut them off. But anyway, This is Hero saying goodbye. I'll see you again real soon in another chapter. So these were the Seijuen elm at the base that had a bulge that was not helping the design, so I cut it off and cut it up into 3 pieces. So see you again real soon in another chapter.